check it out myself. Thought you had a boat.
It is a boat.
Does it float?
No, it is a float.
Thought a boat floats.
This boat floats in parades.
Confused.
Shop today to check out my street legal pirate ship.
Party boat that floated into the pawn shop. When Buck rolled his boat into the pawn shop, it became immediately clear that this was no ordinary watercraft. In fact, it doesn't touch water at all. Buck's creation is a parade float designed not for rivers or lakes, but for streets, crowds, and celebration. It's a full-sized pirate-themed vessel on wheels, decked out for spectacle rather than sailing. Parade floats like this trace back to medieval Europe, where they were used for religious processions. These days, they're all about entertainment, and Buck has built a business around them, building wild, custom floats for bachelor parties, parades, and big events. He's ready to let go of this one to make room for a bigger version.
I'm asking $250,000. Why don't you come on aboard?
All right.
What do you think?
It's pretty sweet. Can you show me all the features?
I'll show them to you. We've got pipes. They pump out all the fog you could ever. It's got the front stage.
He's asking for $250,000. It might seem outrageous until you get a closer look. This float's been fully outfitted with multicolored LED lights, a mounted screen for TV or music videos, and a full sound system to turn any street into a dance floor. It's like a mobile nightclub with a pirate twist. Even more impressive, it's street legal. Buck had it licensed and registered as a road vehicle. Yes, this boat was actually designed to drive.
License, registration, and 60 miles an hour down the highway. 1-ton GMC chassis from a Chevy truck, took body off, put a steel substructure underneath, and we covered the whole thing with.
Of course, all that effort raises a question. Who exactly needs something like this? It's undeniably fun, but it's not exactly a necessity. That's where things get tricky for the Pawn Stars. It might be cool, but it's not historic, collectible, or especially practical. It's not rare because of age or origin. It's rare because hardly anyone would think to make one. Still, the idea of a pirate ship rolling down the highway? You have to admit, that's pretty awesome.
You can actually drive 50 miles an hour on the highway? This is awesome. Let's take it for a spin, one way.
Got it, brother. Let's go.
Chum's phone just keeps on going straight to voicemail.
I'm sure it's all right, dude. Here, I'll text him. Don't.
Rick wasn't buying it, literally. The idea didn't land with him. The shop just didn't want the boat. Maybe it was the size, or the niche appeal, or the massive price tag. Whatever it was, Rick didn't see it fitting into their inventory. And it's not hard to understand why. While Buck had put a lot into the float, getting someone else to pay $250,000 for a party vehicle is a tall order.
What's up, ladies? I feel like cash ship right now.
It's a good look for you.
Show this to everyone. You can make a deal. Rick will think I'm man. Pretty awesome.
Right on. You like it?
I do. What are you trying to get for it?
That said, there's no denying it's a head-turner. A pirate boat with wheels? Perfect for bachelor parties, block parties, or just showing off. As a moving party zone, it's kind of genius. But $250,000? That's the kind of money buyers spend on collectible cars or serious artwork, not a novelty pirate ship, no matter how cool it looks.
$240?
I'm thinking you could rent this for a couple grand a night. I mean, it's a gold mine. I'm pretty sure Rick will want. I can give you $100.
Man, my bottom dollar, $190,000. That's giving it.
In the end, Buck came down, way down. He lowered his asking price to $190,000, but Chumlee didn't budge far. His top offer was $100,000, less than half of Buck's original price, and Buck wasn't having it. He declined, clearly frustrated. It was a long shot, and Chumlee stood his ground. Cool as the land boat was, it wasn't enough to float a deal. And in the pawn world, even pirate ships can sink.
Do not buy the float. That was Rick, my boss. He said not to buy the float in a text message.
Huh, that's it?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to pass.
Well, that's bull. Whatever.
Oh, sorry, man. Didn't want this pirate ship.
Chumlee might have been mesmerized by the boat, but Rick wasn't swayed. And at the end of the day, he's the boss. He's seen enough wild pitches to know when to walk away. And this is one pitch he knew that the Pawn Stars had to stay away from. The pitch was wild, but Rick isn't in the business of taking such risks.
With the guitar, he said was owned by Jimi Hendrix. If this was actually owned and played by the legend himself, this will be the
day Jimi Hendrix's guitar walked into the shop. When Rick starts talking guitars, you pay attention, especially when it's one that might have belonged to Jimi Hendrix. Hendrix was more than a guitarist. He was a legend, an icon of the 1960s rock scene. Hendrix changed the way people thought about the electric guitar. His talent was raw, explosive, and undeniable. If this guitar really did belong to him, it could be worth a small fortune.
Guitars. Hendrix turned the guitar into an extension of his.
Hendrix's journey started in a humble way. As a child, he played air guitar with a broom until his father finally gave him a one-string ukulele. From there, he taught himself how to play, never learning to read music, but still managing to become one of the most influential musicians of all time. That's what makes this guitar so special. Hendrix didn't just play guitars, he transformed them into tools of artistic revolution. So if this is really his, Rick might be holding a piece of rock and roll immortality.
Take a look at it.
Oh man, by all means, that's why you're here.
There's a couple things you'd want to look at.
And then came the big moment. Jesse, the shop's trusted expert, gave his verdict. After examining the guitar closely, he confirmed it. This was the real deal. One of Jimi Hendrix's actual guitars. Just like that, the shop was buzzing with energy. For Rick in the cellar, this could be a once-in-a-lifetime moment. How often does a piece of music history walk through the door?
In my head, I think
Working on it in my book.
Plug it in, let it rip.
But the excitement quickly gave way to a dose of reality. Jesse reminded everyone, a guitar, no matter how historic, isn't worth a dime if it doesn't function properly. Everything needs to work. It's a chilling thought. Hendrix has been gone since 1970. Could this guitar really have survived the decades in working condition?
Come on. That's a good guitar, man.
So what do you think it's worth?
Anywhere.
Amazingly, yes, everything on the guitar still works, and when Jesse dropped the estimated value between $750,000 and $1 million, the room practically froze. That's a life-changing amount of money, but for a guitar owned and played by Jimi Hendrix, it might just be worth every penny. The question now is, how much is Rick willing to pay to own it?
Thank you.
Yes,
Thanks again
man.
for letting me
You're
play.
welcome, man.
Thanks a lot.
That felt crazy to hold one of Jimi Hendrix's guitars, man.
Rick, ever the businessman, started low. He pointed out that even legendary guitars can be hard to sell. The buyer pool is small and he might have to go through an auction or wait months for the right collector. With that in mind, he offered $450,000. A bold move, but a steep drop from Jesse's appraisal. And honestly, it didn't sit right.
I'll give you $500,000.
This guitar's worth more than that. It just is.
If you want the money now, I can go.
David, the seller, wasn't having it. He knew what he had. Rick raised the offer, first to $500,000, then to $600,000. It was clear Rick really wanted the guitar, but David stood firm. He believed he could get closer to the $1 million mark if he was patient. And maybe he will. It's not every day you get to hold out on a deal like that and walk out knowing you just turned down $600,000. That takes guts. But when you're holding a piece of Jimi Hendrix's legacy, maybe that gamble is worth it.
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but it's old and hopefully really expensive coin.
It's George III and Resolution and Adventure. Sailed from England, 17...
This $100 coin turned out to be a piece of history. Jeff walked into the shop with a coin he didn't recognize. He didn't know what it was, just that it looked old and maybe valuable. The coin had King George III engraved on it and was marked England, 1772. He found it in a box while cleaning out his grandma's house. At first glance, it didn't seem like much, but there was a name attached to it, Captain James Cook. That's when things got interesting.
Captain Cook worked his way in the annals of history to be one of the greatest ship captains ever. This is the guy who discovered Hawaii.
Wow.
Islands all over the Pacific. He mapped them all out. He invented some really amazing.
Captain Cook wasn't just some sailor, he was a legendary British explorer and cartographer who mapped huge parts of the Pacific, from New Zealand to Hawaii. He's the guy who put places on the map, literally. If this coin was truly linked to him, Jeff might be holding something way more valuable than he thought. Collectors love that kind of history and they'll pay big for it.
Tree. But I don't know if this was made in 1772 or if they sell these in the gift shop in England right next to all the old ships. Okay?
Right.
There's some odd things here. I mean, it's one of the...
But Jeff, he was ready to let it go for $100. That's all he wanted. He walked in looking like he didn't care if it was gold or garbage. He even admitted he had no clue what the coin was and just wanted to be rid of it. Said it had been sitting in his drawer for years. Luckily, Rick brought in an expert before sealing any deals, because this could have gone really, really wrong.
Resolution and Adventure Medal. This journey lasted 3 years, from 1772 to 1775. He went down past the bottom of the African continent, circumnavigated the southern portion of South America. He went to Fiji, Tahiti.
Enter David. He lit up at the sight of the coin. Turns out only 2,000 of these coins were ever made. Captain Cook handed them out to local chiefs during his explorations, people who had never even seen metal before. These coins were symbols of respect and diplomacy, handed over by one of history's most influential explorers.
And so each one of these is pedigreed right back to Captain Cook. He handled every one of them.
Whoa.
There may have been some left over. This may have been one that was presented and then handed down generations or found in
Jeff could barely believe it. The coin was real. David confirmed it was one of the original 2,000. And because it still had the hoop at the top, used to wear it as a pendant, it was the real deal, not a reproduction. What Jeff thought was just an old coin turned out to be a genuine piece of world history.
Then $50. I feel like I should ask for what it's worth. So $7,500?
You know what? I'm gonna give you $5,000 for it. You know why I'm gonna give you $5,000 for it?
Why?
Because you owe it to me. Because, remember, an hour ago,
Jeff had come in hoping for $100. After hearing the expert's opinion, the coin was valued at around $7,500. Rick offered $5,000, and Jeff happily took it. Honestly, who wouldn't? He went from tossing out junk to walking out with $5,000, all thanks to a coin buried in a forgotten box. Not a bad day at all.
Superfly coat.
I dig it.
One of the most iconic pieces of
Awesome.
The special Elvis's Superfly coat. Today, a seller named Eric walks into the shop with something truly special: Elvis Presley's jacket. Elvis, the king of rock and roll, lived from 1935 to 1977 and was known for owning several iconic, flashy coats, at least 9 in fact. If this jacket turns out to be one of them, Rick and the crew might just have a gold mine on their hands. Eric has been to the shop before and only returned because he got a fair deal last time. He refers to Elvis as one of the most iconic figures of the 20th century, and in many ways he represents America itself.
Cool, can I try it on?
I think it might fit you.
Pretty fly for a white guy.
Where's my money? Where's my money?
Take it off.
I feel super fly, that's for sure.
How much were you looking to get out of it?
$75,000.
Wearing the jacket is cool, but there's a much bigger possibility here. This could be a piece of history worth a lot of money. Eric is looking to get $75,000 for it. It's a big ask, so naturally, Rick needs an expert to help authenticate the jacket and validate the price. Now, we have to wait for the expert.
You know who Jimmy Velvet is, right?
Yep, I sure do.
Knows a lot about his memorabilia and things like that. Let me give him a call and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Enter Jimmy Velvet, the founder of the Elvis Presley Museum. If anyone knows the real deal when it comes to Elvis memorabilia, it's Jimmy. He's all about Elvis, his life, his legacy, his wardrobe. In fact, Jimmy even met Elvis once as a kid, so he's the perfect person to evaluate this jacket.
So what do you think of the jacket?
So much fake stuff out there. Pay a big dollar, but you got to be very careful what you buy. He had a bunch of these made, all different colors. This brown, this is the one. He wore it quite a lot.
Jimmy takes one look at the coat and immediately knows it's legit. Elvis's costumes were made from a special wool lycra blend designed specifically for him. Jimmy confirms that this was one of Elvis's favorite jackets. He wore it often. And of course, it's got the designer's label. With all the details lining up, Jimmy's confident that this jacket is the real deal. Eric's face lights up. He's about to make a big payday.
The fading is going to cost a little. If I was trying to buy this coat, I would love to get it for somewhere between $50,000, $60,000, $55,000. It's a great coat. It's more than a coat.
Jimmy estimates the jacket's value to be somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000. That's no small change, but it seems like a fair price for such an iconic piece of rock history. This isn't just any jacket when it's a slice of music legend, but now the real test begins. How much is Rick willing to offer? Is he going to play ball, or will he lowball like he always does?
For a chum?
40 grand.
That's about right. I mean, you know what collectibles have done in the past few years. I mean, the price has gone down, it's not come up.
But the good stuff always remains high.
Okay? I take it off your hands, I take all the risks.
The negotiations get heated. Rick is interested, but he wants to keep the price low, no more than $40,000. He's factoring in the risks that come with selling a piece like this. But Eric knows what he's holding. This is Elvis's jacket. It's worth more than Rick's offer, and Eric isn't backing down easily. He's asking for at least $50,000.
All right, just for you, I'll do 45.
I'll go 40 grand.
I can't do that. I mean, 45, you got a deal.
Rick holds firm at $45,000, and it looks like the deal might fall through. But Eric, realizing he might not get a better offer, finally agrees to $40,000. It's a bit lower than he hoped, but in the end, it's a solid deal, especially considering what the jacket could go for elsewhere. Sometimes even a legendary piece like this has to settle for a little less.
1984 Olympic. The ticket does have a little sentimental value.
The historical boxing ticket stub. Bill is at the pawn shop today with something truly unique, a signed ticket stub from the 1984 23rd Olympic Games boxing event. The ticket holds a lot of sentimental value for him, and he's hoping to get $500 for it. But there's more to this ticket than meets the eye. Let's find out the crazy story here.
Big games held in Los Angeles. How did you get him to sign it?
Well, it was a day where the Olympics.
Here's the fascinating part. Bill got the ticket signed by 2 legendary boxers, Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield, long before they were household names. Just 2 years after Bill took Tyson out for lunch and got this signed, Tyson would go on to become the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Holyfield, on the other hand, would make history himself as the first boxer to hold world titles in 3 different decades.
For a reason, right off Holyfield's ear. So is history. It's definitely cool, so what are you looking to do with it?
I've had a long time, I think I'm ready to sell it.
To have these two icons' signatures on the same piece of paper before they were famous, that's incredible. What's even more interesting is that Holyfield and Tyson fought against each other multiple times in their careers, so having their autographs together before either of them made their mark is a pretty amazing piece of boxing history.
I'm doing good, man. He's got his ticket stub from the '84 Olympics.
Enter Steve, the expert. Steve is impressed by the rarity of the item, especially since it's signed by both Tyson and Holyfield as amateurs before they became world champions. Having both signatures on one ticket is extremely rare, but Steve's concern is whether it's the real deal. This confirms Bill's fears that the rarity of the item might raise questions about its authenticity. But when Steve examines the ticket more closely, it's clear that this is a fascinating Olympic memorabilia piece.
Tyson, very difficult to find any kind of signature from him from that period. I've seen just so few of them. This is from one of the only I've ever seen signed.
Bill walked in asking for $500, but he had no idea the ticket could be worth more. Tyson and Holyfield are two of the greatest boxers in history, and to have both their autographs on one ticket is truly iconic. This item is definitely more valuable than Bill originally thought.
Wow, you shouldn't have brought him in.
What do you take for it?
$1,500.
Well, what you came in asking for and give you $1,000.
As the conversation wraps up, we learn that Bill has held onto this ticket for 37 years. He's confident it's authentic because he's the one who got Tyson and Holyfield to sign it. While he's tempted to sell, he knows the rarity of this item and its potential value could make it worth holding onto. Bill decides to keep the ticket, either as an artifact or to wait for the right buyer who will pay what it's truly worth.
Little chest here, Buffalo Ben. He was in the Buffalo Bill Wild West show.
Know who Buffalo Ben was, or?
The unexpected value of Buffalo Ben's dolls. Buffalo Bill's Wild West show, which launched in 1882, toured the world until 1913. It was part entertainment, part living history, showing off the myth of the American frontier to crowds across the globe. Troy brought in a collection of dolls linked to the show, hoping to get rid of them. His wife finds them creepy, and, well, they certainly have an eerie vibe to them. Glassy eyes, cracked faces, they're nightmare fuel to some.
I remodeled a house for a lady in Colorado, and she says, sure, I'll take it.
Do you know if there's any relation to Buffalo?
He was in the Buffalo Bill show.
Okay, it's supposed to be Buffalo Ben right there.
Buffalo Bill was a legendary figure in American history, a larger-than-life showman who helped shape how the world saw the American West. So Troy might actually have a hidden treasure on his hands. He'd received the dolls as a thank you gift from a customer whose house he'd renovated. A weird gift, sure, but potentially a valuable one. Now, Troy wants to cash in on what could be a strange but important piece of Americana.
It's a Judy show. You ever see the little puppet shows?
No.
Up, and you would have the little Punch and Judy shows, and they would argue with each other, and they would always, I don't like you.
I don't like you.
What makes these dolls so unique isn't just their unusual, somewhat creepy appearance. It's the fact that they're one of a kind. Hand-painted details, vintage materials. They don't make them like this anymore. If they really are from the Wild West era, and if they can be linked to Buffalo Bill's traveling show, their potential historical value could be in the thousands, making them a truly rare and collectible find.
Ventriloquist doll here, that's got newer clothes on it. I'm just sort of baffled here by the whole thing. I don't know if this is Buffalo Bill's cousin or who the hell this guy is. Got a friend who runs a Wild West. Let me get him down here. We'll get this thing figured out.
Even the expert seems puzzled by the dolls. There's something off about them. Too specific to be generic, but too mysterious to confirm anything for sure. While Buffalo Bill had a massive crew with him on the road, including performers from all over the world, there's no definitive proof linking these dolls to the man himself. But that doesn't rule out the possibility. They could still be artifacts from that iconic traveling show.
Actually, this was used by Bill, promote his Wild West, and the name been taken off of here. It's like Buffalo Ben kind of stole it from Buffalo Bill.
But then, a surprising twist. Turns out, Buffalo Ben, the figure the dolls are supposed to be linked to, might not have even existed. There's no official record of him in the Wild West archives. He wasn't part of Buffalo Bill's crew, and the photo that Troy thought confirmed his identity? It actually belongs to someone else entirely. Now, the supposed connection to Buffalo Bill is looking shakier by the second.
That's right. He was a legend in his own.
All right, so do you think it's worth anything?
It's interesting, but you don't have that strong value you would see if he had really been with Buffalo Bill's Wild West.
With the dolls no longer tied directly to Buffalo Bill, their value drops fast. They go from possibly priceless to just historically interesting, but they're not worthless. They still remain fascinating as historical toys, aged, rare, and full of character. Rick is still interested. They may not have belonged to anyone famous, but they're cool pieces of American history with a story behind them. And sometimes that's enough to make a sale.
This is what I called you about.
Taking it way back with this up. They usually call me down to have a piece, or if they want to know. This is definitely a cool mix of pieces here. Everything else looks like he traveled.
Then, expert Johnny arrives on the scene and brings a whole new perspective. He identifies one of the dolls as a ventriloquist figure made by Theodore Mackinson, a well-known manufacturer in the early 1900s. This immediately increases the value of the dolls, as Mackinson's pieces were highly regarded and sought after during that time.
Ain't been so lucky with everything else so far.
Everything seems in fair condition for the most of these were hand painted. That has remained intact. Clothing's original. Also the Charles Mack piece, which is
Despite not being connected to Buffalo Bill, the dolls are worth a lot more than Troy initially thought. His original asking price of $5,000 seems more than reasonable given their potential value. But is that an argument the Pawn Stars will fall for? Is Rick the sort of guy to be so gracious? Well, let us see.
Yeah, this stuff right here, I don't see no money there. Just plain and simple. This stuff, what do you want for it?
I was hoping to get $5,000 out of it.
Yeah, $5,000 I'm not gonna do. I mean, because I'm hoping to get.
In the end, the deal is made. Troy sells the dolls for $4,200, which is a significant sum, especially considering he initially thought they were just weird collectibles. Rick, on the other hand, walks away with some amazing pieces for his store. The story of Buffalo Bill, the Wild West, and ventriloquist figures all come together in this fascinating transaction. And so, the dolls find a new home, proving that even the most unexpected collectibles can turn into treasures.